super excited to be with you guys again today, and look where I'm at again. I'm back here in the kitchen, my favorite place. I had so much fun making cookies last month for you that I decided, you know what, let's do it again. But as I've gone through the month, I've been thinking a lot about how many cookies we made. That was the most cookies I've ever made in my entire life at one time. I've never made over 800 cookies at one time. And so I got thinking about how we were able to do that. At home, my recipe that I've had memorized since I was like your age or younger, it only makes 3 dozen cookies. And that's 36 cookies. That's not 800 cookies. So how are we able to do that? So I went and I talked to our math teachers and asked them, how do you convert my recipe that I've had, that I've known for my whole life, and convert that into a bigger recipe? And so that's what we've done. And so we're going to watch my conversation with the math teachers and how we multiplied out fractions and took a recipe and made that bigger. We're excited to be here today with you. We've got our math teachers, and they're going to help us figure out those ingredients and how we can multiply out a recipe for the entire school. So as you know, you're wonderful math teachers. We've got Ms. Drake, Ms. Huntington, we've got Mr. Thomas, and we've got Ms. Jennings and Ms. Hunt. And so they're here to help us figure out how to use math to be able to make a cookie for everybody in the school.
So already in math, we've talked about how we actually double or triple or even quadruple a recipe all the time. And we do it so often, we actually just do it in our head a lot of the time. But there's 2 different things you can do. You can take your ingredients and you can multiply them, or you can take your ingredients and you can add it together however many times you're going to create this recipe. So let's take our 2 1/4 cups flour, and let's say I want to triple this recipe. So I can take my 2 1/4 and I can multiply it by 3. Now we can do a couple of different things here. I'm going to take my mixed number and I'm going to make it to an improper fraction. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So I have 9/4. Multiply it by 3. I'm going to put a 1 under that to make it a fraction. Now I can just multiply fractions straight across. 9 times 3 is 27. And 4 times 1 is 4. And now I need to take that improper fraction and convert it back into cups. So 4 will go into 27 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. So I have 3 left over, and I keep my denominator. So I need 6 3/4 cups of flour to triple my recipe. So that's going to be 3 times my recipe. If I do it in my head, sometimes at home, I just go 2 1/4 plus 2 1/4 plus 2 1/4. And I'm going to add my whole numbers. So I have 2, 4, 6, and then 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4 gives me 3/4. So I can double check my math and see if I did it right. So 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6, and then 6 3/4. I got the same answer either way. Another thing we can do that we've been doing in 6th grade math is we can make a ratio table. And I'm not going to make the whole table. I'm just going to kind of refresh your memory. If I have, when we're in a ratio, we compare 2 things. So I'm going to compare my flour and my, and my sugar. So we could take a ratio table and we could go flour and sugar, and we could double both ingredients as we go. So my flour is 2 1/4. Oh, my pen's not working anymore. And my sugar, my sugar is 3/4. And I could multiply that by 2, multiply it by 3, multiply it by 4, and so on. So we can do a ratio table. There's lots of different ways that we can double, triple, or quadruple our recipe. We also can make this for even a larger group of people. And Mrs. Hunt's going to talk about how we can figure out how to make enough cookies for the entire school.
Thank you, Mrs. Jennings. Great job. Yeah, I think Dr. Yost is making enough for the whole school. How many students are in our school?
850?
850. So we need to double this or triple this we need to do much more than double or triple. We need to multiply our amounts by 24. That's a lot of cookies. All right, so we're going to take our 3/4 cup of brown sugar and we're going to multiply it by 24 because we need 24 batches of cookies. When we multiply a fraction by a whole number, we need to just make that whole number a fraction also by putting a 1 under it. We're going to multiply straight across. I'm going to check first 4 and 24 just to see if I can cross cancel first before multiplying, and multiply with smaller numbers because that's easier. All right, 4 is a factor of, or 4 is a multiple of 4. So we'll cross cancel the 4 and do 4 divided by 4, which is 1. And 24 also is a multiple of 4, and we can divide it by 4. So this we will change to 24 divided by 4 is 6. Much smaller numbers, and then we can go ahead and just multiply straight across with our new numerator. 3 times 6 is 18. And our 1 times 1 is 1. Anytime we have a numerator over a denominator of 1, it's equal to the whole number. So 18 is our answer. When Dr. Yost makes these cookies, instead of using 3/4 cup of brown sugar or 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, he's going to use 18 cups. That's a lot of sugar. Happy mathing.
All right, so now we've just seen the math teachers and learned about that. Well, our recipe is not the chocolate chip recipe that I used as a kid. We're using the cowboy cookie recipe, and I wanted to make those one more time because they were so good last month. On the first day of school, I thought, you know, we're coming back from Labor Day, let's give them to you again. So here we go with that. And I learned something from our cooks about weights. My recipe used measuring cups, but when you get into a recipe that's making a lot of cookies, it is easier to measure your ingredients by weight instead of by measuring cups. And so we're going to do that today, and we're going to work together and follow the recipe and sort out all of the ingredients. And so that's the part that I'm going to show you today, is how we use math to be able to figure out how to make our food. So what do we need to start with? What's our first ingredient we need to measure out?
It's going to be butter.
Butter. Okay. So I love the butter on the recipe. It says that we need 9 pounds of butter. And this one, we don't actually have to measure it out because fortunately for us, it tells us how much butter is in one package, and it says it's 16 ounces. And I know that 16 ounces is 1 pound. So I actually need to get 9 of these. And so that's what we've got right here. So our butter is already measured out because they come in 1 pound blocks of butter. So that's the first thing. The next one says we need brown sugar. We need 8 pounds of brown sugar. So we've got a scale right here, and I'm going to show that to you guys. You can see that this is at 0 pounds when it's zeroed out. But if we got to get 8 pounds of sugar, this bowl weighs something, so we can't just put this on the scale because that bowl is a little over a pound. So how are we going to make this go to 0 so we get 8 pounds exactly?
We're going to turn this little knob right here.
Okay, so we're going to zero out this scale. So now this scale says that there's 0 pounds on it, even though we know that there's more. We've got this bowl, but now we've taken out the this variable of the bowl. So now when we put everything in here, we'll be able to get exactly 8 pounds of brown sugar. So we'll start putting that in. Right there, that's 8 pounds. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got our brown sugar measured out, and we're ready to, that's the second ingredient. Our next ingredient, 8 pounds of granulated sugar, white sugar. So we're gonna do the same thing. We'll see this, make sure that this is zeroed out. We need to go the other direction, just a hair. So now we've zeroed out this bowl, and now we can start measuring out the white sugar. One of the things in baking that I've learned is you've got to be precise with your ingredients, because if you're off on your ingredients, then it's going to mess it up and it will not turn out the way we want it to.
Nope.
So we've got to use the math and be precise in our measurements.
Where are we at?
We're at 7 pounds. Oh, we're at 7 1/4 pounds. So a little bit more, 7 3/4, right there. 8 pounds. Okay. Our next ingredient that we need to measure out is eggs. And the eggs we use are already liquid eggs, and we need 4 pounds of our eggs. So this one we'll actually use a measuring cup for. Our next ingredient says that we need to add our wheat flour. And we need 11 pounds. Our next ingredient is baking soda. And this one we'll use a measuring cup again. We need 1/3 cup baking soda. The next ingredient, we need 8 pounds of oats. Now, we've got packages of oats here, and we could weigh them out, but since this is a package that's not open, and we can look at the weight here, it says 2 pounds is right here in this container. So I know if I need 8 pounds total, then I'm gonna need 4 containers. So that's what we've got right here, is we've got 4 of these, and so we've got all of our oats that we need right here. And that's our 8 pounds. The last ingredient is we need 6 pounds of chocolate chips. So we're gonna have to measure that one out. All right, zero the scale out one more time. So that's 5 1/4 pounds, so just a little bit more. All right. Oh yeah, we're there. There's a little bit more than 6 pounds, but I think you guys like extra chocolate chips. You guys will be fine with that. I don't think you'll complain. All right. So now we've got all of our ingredients measured out, and you saw us how we made the cookies last time, but I just wanted to show this video with you guys this time because math is important in everything that we do, even in baking and the food that we eat every day. There is math that goes into that every single day. So it's important that we understand how the equations work and the fractions, because if you get off, it's going to mess things up. And so we've got to be exact and precise in our measurements. And hope you enjoy these cookies. Let's make it a fabulous month here in September, and have a great day. Thank you.
You know what, can I recalibrate this real
Yes,
quick?
it might not be working.
You're editing, you're
Yeah.
editing, right?
I am editing, yes. This will not be a part of the video.
Okay.
This is what my board keeps doing.
You'll put this in your bloopers?
Yeah.